Konoha village. It is a sunny and bright noon, and the sun lazily sprinkles the world, giving people a warm feeling. Near the mealtime, the streets were bustling, and the villagers in groups of 3 and 2 went to the restaurants that everyone was familiar with. Among them, Yul Ramen, which is famous in Konoha village, is already full of people, and there is a long queue on the street. Some people are happy, and naturally some people are sad. Yang Ming looked at his restaurant blankly. It was empty, there was not a single customer, and he sighed secretly. System, can't we lower the price of the food? If it goes on like this, the small shop will not be able to operate at all. Host, as the supreme chef of the Naruto world in the future, how could a little suffering stop you? The system replied solemnly and earnestly. Yang Ming twitched the corners of his mouth and looked at the menu on the wall blankly. A bowl of beef ramen, 128 yuan. This kind of price is many times more expensive than the one opposite Yul Ramen. In this way, it can still attract guests, and there will be ghosts. Yang Ming rested his chin in one hand and stared dully at the Yul restaurant opposite, his mood gradually drifting into the distance. Yes, Yang Ming is not from this world, he is from a distant Earth. As described in many time travel novels, Yang Ming was struck by a lightning bolt and then traveled to the Naruto world. At the beginning, Yang Ming was really pleasantly surprised, thinking that he could become a genius ninja from now on, dominate Konoha, beat Akatsuki, counterattack Uchiha Madara, and even kill Datoungmu Kagaya, unifying the entire Hokage world. However, there is a saying that ideal is full, the reality is very skinny. Yes, Yang Ming is one of the cups in the tableware. In this life, Yang Ming was not only an orphan, but also a commoner who did not have the talent for chakra cultivation. It's fine if it's just like that. After all, there is still an inspirational existence like Xiao Li. If we don't have the talent of chakra, we can still practice physique. But reality slapped Yang Ming again. As an orphan in Konoha village, Yang Ming would have starved to death on the streets if he hadn't gotten the help of his kind neighbors. So his first consideration was not cultivation, but how to find a job. After all, cultivating physique seems to be very close to the people, but if you really did this, you would have been in the hospital for safekeeping. If Xiao Li hadn't had a good teacher, arranged a training schedule for him, and had logistical support, would he be able to succeed in physical skills? You must know that Konoha has developed for so many years, and the talents who have made achievements in physical skills can be counted on 10 fingers. Fortunately, maybe it's time to turn around. Not long ago, Yang Ming finally got the benefit of the transmigrator, the system. System, the full name of the god of cookery system. What is different from Yang Ming's past perception is how to say this system. Yes, it is very arrogant. Just look at the first task it assigned to Yang Ming. Task: defeat Yul restaurant and become a famous restaurant in Konoha village. Quest tip: as the supreme god of cookery in the future of Naruto, how could there be no little monsters to upgrade you? Quest reward: it depends on the final result of the host. Seeing this, Yang Ming couldn't help but raise it towards the sky. Your sister, do you have such a system? Shouldn't the protagonist fight mobs in the novice area first, level up, and bring a suit of equipment before fighting the boss? From the beginning, it was hell level difficulty. There is wood. Who is Yul restaurant? Anyone who has seen Naruto will know that it is the place where the protagonist Naruto Uzumaki must go. Even Kakashi, who has a great reputation in the ninja world, is a frequent visitor to Yul restaurant, as you can imagine. What is the reputation of this store? However, the system's first mission is to defeat this legendary old shop. Isn't this going to kill Yang Ming? It's fine if it's just like that. Yang Ming believes that with the help of the system, it's only a matter of time before we can defeat Yul restaurant. Because, before that, Yang Ming didn't even know how to make a poached egg, but after getting the system directly instilled a lot of knowledge into Yang Ming's mind. Take the shop's first dish, beef ramen, for example. It doesn't require Yang Ming to train at all, and he can knead the dough directly. With that technique and posture, he is like a master with 20 to 30 years of experience. But, important things are said 3 times. The system actually set a crazy price for beef ramen. 128 yuan. On the other hand, Yul ramen, the signature dish of Yul restaurant opposite, is so delicious that it is only 20 yuan. This is 6 times the spread. If Yang Ming's restaurant is a well-known and old restaurant, that's fine. Others will think it's worth the money, and they all want to locate it a month in advance. But unfortunately, this is just a newly opened restaurant. A newly opened restaurant opposite Yul restaurant. Without comparison, there is no harm. Usually, the villagers of Konoha village also complain that the price of Yul restaurant is too high, and a meal here is enough to eat 2 or 3 meals at other restaurants. Like Naruto Uzumaki, even if he became a ninja later, his pockets have been enriched a lot, but every time he comes to Yul restaurant, he feels pain and happiness. The food here is delicious, but every time I come here after that, it's time to start working hard to make money. In this way, the desertedness of Yang Ming's small shop can be imagined. While bored, Yang Ming glanced at the system. System goal: help the host become the supreme chef of the Naruto world. Host: Yang Ming. Sex: male. Age: 12. Chakra cultivation base: none. As the god of cooking in Naruto world, future food must use chakra. Boy: work hard. Culinary talent: unknown. Skill: none. Props: none. Overall rating of god of cooking: rookie. The road to god of cooking has just begun. Follow the footsteps of the system and become the man at the top of the food chain in Naruto world. Yang Ming silently gave the system a negative rating of 1 point. 1 more point was for fear of the system being proud, and 1 less point was for fear that the system would force him to death. With such a system, he still wants him to become the god of cooking in the Naruto world. If the world is not crazy, then Yang Ming must be crazy himself. If there is really a fool who is willing to pay for that black heart beef noodle, I will eat it in front of the whole village. Yang Ming complained in his heart. Maybe even God wants to see him eat Xiang, but no, the shop finally has a customer. In the empty shop, this customer stood at the door, his short figure raised instantly, his golden yellow hair radiated dazzling brilliance under the sun. I just heard him say loudly in a tender accent, "Boss, give me a beef ramen." After listening, Yang Ming silently threw Shakxiang's declaration just now out of the sky, and said solemnly, "Okay, right now." That kid. I heard that he was the only one who failed. Humph. He deserves it. It would be bad if he became a ninja. Who made him be? Forget it, don't say it, in case he hears it. After the graduation exam, the parents' words were like a sharp knife, stabbed hard into Naruto's heart, leaving a deep scar in it. Why? Obviously I've worked so hard. I also told Mr. Irika that if he became a real ninja, he would invite me to eat Ichili ramen. Naruto's lonely figure lingered on the streets of Konoha, fearing that the surrounding people would not be able to dodge. He slammed, separated a road, and stared at the yellow-haired boy with disgust. Maybe he was used to it, or maybe he was in a bad mood today, but Naruto didn't lose his temper and kept walking towards Yul restaurant. Looking at a long dragon lined up at the entrance of Yul restaurant, Naruto clutched Xinglai's stomach, and for some reason, tears blurred his vision. This time, he has failed for the 3rd time. Logically speaking, he is the kind of person who has not become a ninja talent. If he can't become a ninja, he can't become a Hokage, and he can't get the approval of the villagers. Yes, for Naruto, the most simple wish to be recognized by the villagers is that he wants to become the biggest motivation for Hokage. However, this is just an unrealistic dream after all. Naruto wiped a handful of tears, raised his head, and saw the disgusted faces of the villagers at the door of Yul restaurant. For some reason, they became angry. Humph, I won't go to eat Yul ramen today. It just so happened that Yang Ming's restaurant was opened there. Naruto stepped forward and walked towards this restaurant he had never been to before. The restaurant is not big, only about 40 square meters. It is estimated that the owner is not in the mood, so there are only 2 tables and a few stools. The inside is not like your restaurant, full of Dongxian characteristics, but very simple, unbelievably simple, without any decoration at all. If the menu on the wall is considered a decoration. Goo goo goo. The stomach made a loud noise again, and Naruto just swept around casually, and shouted to Yang Ming, "Boss, give me a beef ramen." "Okay, right now." Surprisingly, the tall and thin boss in front of him was surprisingly easy to talk. He didn't show disgust towards Naruto like the others, and his attitude was very gentle, like the big brother next door. Perhaps, this store is so deserted just because it opened opposite your restaurant? Naruto, who didn't read the menu carefully, secretly made an excuse for Yang Ming. After a while, a fragrant fragrance wafted out of the kitchen, and a few green smoke coiled around the store, which made Naruto suck. Smell good. This time, Naruto was even more hungry, making him eager to know what the beef ramen in this restaurant tasted like. "Here, your beef ramen." With the voice, Yang Ming's kind face appeared in front of Naruto, and at the same time, there was a bowl of beef ramen that was ordinary no matter how you looked at it. The clear noodle soup, a few thin and tender beef slices are placed on the surface, and a pinch of chopped green onion is like an embellishment, and it is lightly sprinkled on it. This is a very ordinary bowl of beef ramen. Naruto felt a little regretful in his heart. He clearly smelled a very fragrant fragrance just now. Could it be that he was too hungry and had hallucinations? Naruto shook his head. "What about it?" "Then, I'm welcome." Naruto grabbed a pair of chopsticks, first made a routine salute, and then, impatiently, he picked up a chopstick of noodles, sucked it, and swallowed it into his stomach. The moment the noodles entered the mouth, the unique aroma of chopped green onion mixed with the taste of the noodle soup, like a volcanic eruption, spread out instantly. "Oh! It's delicious!" That smell, like an octopus sucker, firmly occupied every inch of Naruto's mouth, constantly stimulating his taste buds and strongly stimulating Naruto's senses. Naruto picked up another thin slice of beef, cautiously, for fear that the beef would be pulled apart if he exerted force. Then, he opened his gluttonous mouth and swallowed it. In an instant, Naruto opened his eyes wide. How could there be such a chewy beef? When he started chewing the beef between his teeth, the slice of beef, which seemed to be cut very thinly to make money, turned out to be surprisingly chewy. And not only that, with Naruto chewing slowly like a cow, the thick juice contained in it is like a bomb exploded, with the taste of clear soup and the delicious taste of tender beef. At this moment, Naruto seemed to have an illusion in front of his eyes. He saw an endless grassland, and a cow lay lazily on the ground, constantly chewing the grass in his mouth. This kind of comfortable and peaceful atmosphere infected Naruto, and at this moment, he actually forgot the unpleasantness of the graduation examination. Reading www.yuyugonshu.com forgot the ugly faces of the villagers, only the delicious taste in his mouth permanently occupied his heart field. So, the next moment, Naruto rudely grabbed the big bowl with one hand and ate it wildly, making a sound of sucking and sucking in the restaurant. In the end, even the clear soup in the bowl was swept away by Naruto, leaving only the bare bottom of the bowl. "I'm full, thank you for your hospitality." Naruto rubbed his bulging belly with a happy face. If he encountered such delicious food in a restaurant, he would definitely order a few more. But today, he just ate a bowl of beef ramen, which made him feel unprecedented satisfaction. Perhaps, this is his spiritual comfort. This restaurant is really delicious, and your ramen can't compare to it at all. I will come to this restaurant in the future. Naruto leaned on his back on the stool, half squinted his eyes, and looked at Yang Ming and Uncle Shanruel's face. Although he seemed to lack nutrition, his face was much thinner, and the jawbones on both sides were protruding, but it did not affect Naruto at all. Yang Ming's favor. How can he be a bad person who can make such delicious food? Naruto said to himself. However, he soon overturned this view. Thanks to your patronage, a bowl of beef ramen is 128 yuan. Well, okay, 128 yuan. Wait. Naruto stopped when he reached into his purse, staring at Yang Ming in astonishment. Boss, say it again, how much is it? A bowl of beef ramen is 128 yuan, thank you for coming. Naruto stared at Yang Ming solemnly. At this moment, this young man who always had a smile like sunshine on his face, at this moment, in his eyes, from a big brother next door to a heinous villain. Boss, you are blackmailing. How can you sell beef ramen so expensive? It costs 128 yuan. Naruto's roar resounded through the store and spread outside the store, immediately attracting the attention of many villagers. But after seeing Konoha's most disgusting broom star, they all turned their attention away, as if they were afraid to avoid it, as if they were afraid of getting bad luck. Yang Ming had a sunny smile on his face, and said in a spring-like voice, I'm not kidding you, a bowl of beef ramen is definitely worth the price. How is this possible? Naruto was instantly stunned. At this moment, he just wanted to shout, I have never seen such a brazen person. Originally, when Naruto swiped through the menu, he thought it was 12.8 yuan, with the decimal point added. Isn't this the usual method used by small shops? But unfortunately, it doesn't have a decimal point. At this moment, looking at Yang Ming's smiling face, he could not wait to send a punch to see if his face was thick enough and could withstand his punch. However, Yang Ming's next sentence was like a splash of cold water, which shocked him. Naruto, if you don't pay for your meal in this restaurant, do you still want to get the approval of the villagers if the news spreads? This sentence has an outstanding effect, such as a knowing blow, it completely defeated Naruto's motivation to fight. If the whole village knew that Naruto is a guy who eats the overlord's meal, then the villagers who didn't like to see Naruto would know what kind of eyes they would treat him with. By that time, let alone getting the villagers to recognize Naruto, it would be difficult for Naruto to buy daily necessities. After all, who in business would like to see a freelancer? Naruto is not stupid, on the contrary, due to his childhood experiences, he is much smarter than children of the same age, but he usually does some outrageous things in order to attract the attention of others. That's right, all of the above words were intentional by Yang Ming. Yang Ming looked at the little guy in front of him with a slight smile. Sure enough, training or something is the most loving. In particular, this one in front of me is still the son of destiny in the future Naruto world. Seeing Naruto's defeat and retreat after a few words of his own, Yang Ming felt a sense of indescribable pleasure and a little guilt. Am I bullying the small? Yang Ming touched his chin, forget it, tease him again, but don't accidentally ruin him. Unfortunately, things were completely beyond Yang Ming's expectations. As the son of destiny of Naruto world, Naruto is not only lucky, but more importantly, he is a man of integrity. Seeing that the boss of the eldest brother next door just now turned into a devil who wants money, Naruto touched the empty wallet twice, his eyes fixed, showing an incomparably determined look. Looks like it's time to use that trick. Naruto took a deep breath and sealed his hands on his chest, only to hear the sound of peng, a thick white smoke enveloped Naruto, and he could not be seen at all. Seeing this, Yang Ming was taken aback. He thought that he had caused some kind of butterfly effect when he traveled through it, so that Naruto could learn the art of blinking, then his business today would be in vain. In anxiety, Yang Ming suddenly rushed into the thick fog. But when he saw the figure in front of him inside, Yang Ming had a shameful nosebleed. Poof! Puff! 2 nosebleeds shot into the sky. What did he see? The female version of Naruto. Damn! After traveling for so long, Yang Ming almost forgot Naruto's unique trick that made him famous in the early stage. As soon as this move came out, although it was not as terrifying as the ghosts and gods, this ninjutsu left a splendid reputation in the history of the ninja world. This trick, it once made the 3 generations of Hokage have a second spring, and made Jiraiya willing to take out the famous ninjutsu. That's right, this trick is seduction. Boss, just treat me as if you were inviting me to this meal, okay? A cute and coquettish voice came, and Yang Ming's whole body suddenly got goosebumps. You put on my clothes. This time, it was Yang Ming's turn to roar at Naruto. No, you promise first. As he spoke, the female version of Naruto shyly held his face in his hands, swayed his posture, and even threw a wink at Yang Ming. Damn it! Yang Ming only felt that the world was full of malice towards him, and the whole person was not well. At this moment, he finally felt the pain of the 3rd generation, Jiraiya's pain. I am straight. I don't do it. Yang Ming roared with grief and anger in his heart, and at the same time raised his to this world. So, he turned to the smell of the system in his body. System, what if someone wants to eat the overlord meal? It is detected that the host encounters an emergency, and the system automatically installs the patch. The patch has been released, please check the host. I saw a flash of white light in the store, and a chubby puppet suddenly appeared. When Yang Ming glanced at it, the information about the puppet was revealed instantly. Name, unnamed. Rank, Chunin ability, poison cone hell extremely accurate bursts of fire. Ability description, the puppet first releases smoke bombs, and then shoots the enemy with steel needles. Yang Ming nodded, very good, now that the shop has bodyguards, you don't need to worry too much in the future. So, he randomly gave the puppet a name, just called it Fat Man. It's really vivid and memorable. In this emotion, the fat man's burly body stopped in front of Naruto. Suddenly, Yu read www.yuyugonshu.com. Naruto's body froze, his hands crossed his chest, and he shouted coquettishly, Boss, what do you want to do to others? Yang Ming's forehead bulged with blue veins, and he said angrily, if you eat the overlord's meal, spank. At this moment, Naruto finally knew that he was kicking the iron plate. Ninjutsu, which even Sandame couldn't resist, was useless in this small shop. Even himself, he will be punished by spanking. No, I'm the man who wants to become Hokage, how can I be spanked here? Undisciplined like Naruto, his face suddenly turned red hot. As long as he thought, after many years, he finally became Hokage, but the villagers preached to their children, child, when you grow up, don't learn from Hokage, or you will eat like him. Overlord meal, was spanked. What a nightmare this is. Fortunately, just when Naruto was in despair, a voice like the sound of nature came from the door of the store. Boss, I'm here to help Naruto settle the bill, please don't embarrass him. Seeing this tall figure, Naruto was moved to tears, and shouted in a grateful voice, Teacher. Thanks to the perfect old driver for casting 2 recommendation votes. There are 4 recommendation votes. LV Zheng Chao cast 2 recommendation votes. The Ghost Bone Layman cast a recommendation vote. The Black-Skinned Aries cast a recommendation vote. Every recommendation ticket is a human feeling and a motivation to encourage the author. Xiao Tian would like to thank everyone again. Regarding the update of this book, let me say here that the public chapter is temporarily updated twice a day with 4,000 words. If the book is recommended after signing the contract, there will be more updates, which is Jiangzi. When Mizuki appeared in the store, seriously, Yang Ming was really taken aback. This sad ninja in the original book could no longer be saddened, even if Yang Ming now has a puppet of Chunin combat power, he may not necessarily be the opponent's opponent. However, when he saw Mizuki paying for Naruto with a sense of justice, for some reason, Yang Ming always felt a sense of disobedience. What is it? Because since the time traveled, the memory of the original work in the past can only be remembered roughly, especially the previous content, so Yang Ming did not immediately recall anything. When Naruto saw someone supporting him, his waist straightened and his legs stopped hurting. He said to Yang Ming, "You black-heart boss, I will never come to you again." At this time, the system also stepped in. Ding! Trigger special mission, rescue unhappy. Mission description: as the supreme chef of the Naruto world in the future, how can you make the protagonist unhappy? Task requirements: let the protagonist worship you sincerely. Quest reward: Jinin Chakra cultivation. Originally, Yang Ming didn't want to pay attention to the system, but when he saw the quest reward, his eyes suddenly straightened. Jinin Chakra. In the Naruto world, what could be more attractive than having a powerful chakra cultivation base? Although it's embarrassing to say, this is only the lowest level of chakra in the ninja system, but for Yang Ming, who has no talent for chakra cultivation, there is nothing better than this reward. As a result, Yang Ming's brain started to work quickly. Previously, since Yang Ming had always lived at the bottom of the society, he was more or less jealous of the protagonist Naruto, so he went to train Naruto. Unexpectedly, Naruto has such a bad impression of his small shop now that he actually threatened not to come in the future. It would be fine if this special mission was not triggered, but now, Yang Ming's brain hurts. Who doesn't know, Naruto is a dead brain. As long as he decides to do something, he will always implement it. It seems that Naruto swore to Sakura in the future that he would bring Sasuke back to Konoha. I don't know how many people called him a fool, but he never gave up. So, Yang Ming was a little overwhelmed right now. Mizuki stayed in the shop for a while, and it can be regarded as the source of understanding. In order to achieve his ulterior purpose, Shui Mu endured the nausea in his heart and put on a kind smile of the elders. He touched Naruto's head, and then said righteously to Yang Ming, "Boss, the price of your store is indeed very unreasonable. I have reason to believe that your store is operating illegally. I will definitely report it to Hokage-sama and ask him to seal up your store." "What? Unreasonable pricing?" "Right." Yang Ming's eyes lit up, and he finally knew how to convince Naruto. Naruto didn't order such expensive ramen just because he felt that he was at a loss. However, that is expensive for a reason. Thinking of this, Yang Ming instantly gained self-confidence, with a smile on his face. He didn't rush to answer Mizuki, but turned his head and asked Naruto, "Naruto, do you always fail when you use the clone technique?" "Yes." Naruto replied conditionally. "I don't know why this black-heart boss is asking this question. Isn't this something that all the villagers in Konoha know about?" The corner of Yang Ming's mouth curled into an arc, and he said to himself, "Then, Naruto, I bet that you will succeed if you use the clone technique again now." "What? How is this possible?" Hearing Yang Ming's words, Naruto and Mizuki said in unison. "However, what it contains may not be the same." "Stinky boss, how can you be sure that I will succeed using the clone technique now?" Naruto looked at Yang Ming suspiciously. He had just finished the exam, how could he have learned the avatar technique so quickly? "You just do it." Yang Ming showed a mysterious smile, patted his chest and said. Naruto was skeptical, put his hands in a seal on his chest, and shouted, "Separation!" A burst of white smoke appeared out of nothing, and then dissipated, revealing two identical figures. Sure enough, this time Naruto's clone technique was successful. "This is impossible." Mizuki's eyes widened, watching this scene in disbelief. How could this guy at the end of the 10,000-year crane learn how to clone himself? Then what should I do with my plan? Naruto wasn't as thoughtful as Mizuki, he just looked at the clone in excitement and surprise, and squeezed the other's face with both hands. "Ah! It hurts. Idiot! Who told you to squeeze so hard? You're an idiot. Bastard, you deserve to be beaten, don't you?" Naruto, this idiot, was actually angry at his clone, and flew away with a fist. Naturally, when the clone was attacked, it immediately collapsed and dissipated as a cloud of smoke. Naruto looked at his hands in disbelief, Tears blurring his vision, I finally learned the avatar technique, and I can finally become a real ninja. No one knows how much Naruto desires to be a ninja. Only by becoming a ninja can you become a Naruto. Only by becoming a ninja can you be recognized by everyone. Little Naruto doesn't have too many distracting thoughts, this is the belief that keeps him alive with a sunny mentality. Otherwise, he would have been unable to withstand all kinds of pressure and become a monster like Gaara in Sandian village. At this time, Naruto recovered from the surprise. A fool knows who gave him all this. Stinky boss, it must be you, right? How on earth did you do it? Yang Ming stood with his hands behind his back, looking up at the sky at a 45-degree angle, with an invincible and loneliest expression, and said, "You can't say it, you can't say it." Although this is a very low-level outfit, in Naruto's eyes, it is suddenly different, this is the performance of an expert. Compared to the 3-generation-old man who couldn't stand the seduction technique, the Black-Heart boss in front of him was undoubtedly the legendary master who lived in seclusion among the commoners. Otherwise, how can you explain that he learned the clone technique inexplicably? Since he is a master, he naturally has a strange temper. Maybe, this store deliberately set prices so outrageous, and it was just a prank by this senior? For a moment, as if he understood something, Naruto had a clear mind, looked at Yang Ming with admiration on his face, and said something that made his jaw drop, "Boss, from today onwards, you are my boss of Naruto." As for Shuimu, who had been working on the background wall, he glanced at the chubby puppet with deep meaning, and quietly left the store with ulterior motives. Ding! Special mission, rescue unhappy. Mission description: as the supreme chef of the Naruto world in the future, how can you make the protagonist unhappy? Task requirements: let the protagonist worship you sincerely. Quest reward: Jinin Chakra cultivation. The task has been completed, and the reward has been issued. As soon as a voice from the system fell, Yang Ming only felt a force emerge from his body. If you want to use a metaphor, at the beginning, it was like raindrops, there were a lot of them, but they were not very condensed. As time passed, this force gathered together to form rivers that ran through Yang Ming's limbs and veins. This feeling of power made Yang Ming almost groan in comfort. Yang Ming clenched his fists. At this moment, he finally felt that he was no longer a dispensable cannon fodder in the Naruto world. From now on, he finally has the confidence to deal with the future. At this time, Naruto interrupted his train of thought discordantly, "Boss, from today onwards, you will be my boss of Naruto." What? Yang Ming blinked and looked at Naruto strangely. When did this kid learn Konohamaru and worship other people's big brother casually? No, my brother is a young man with ideals and aspirations, his dream is the sea of stars, a mere yellow-haired boy. Wait, no, this is Naruto, not that scumbag of Konohamaru, how can I refuse? Just when Yang Ming was struggling to accept Naruto as a younger brother, he didn't expect that his silence really deepened Naruto's understanding of his peerless master. Sure enough, this kind of low-key and connotative, silent and graceful, is really the style of a peerless master who lives in seclusion among the common people. Naruto was so excited in his heart. Originally, he was already desperate for the graduation exam, there is no way. But after I came to this small shop and had dinner, I inexplicably learned the technique of avatars, and no one believed me when I said it, there is no way. If you don't hurry up and hug your thighs now, maybe you won't have a chance in the future, there is no chance. So, Naruto looked at Yang Ming with all sincerity. That look, that posture, was like a female fan of Yang Ming's previous life when he met a male god, and could not wait to dig out his heart and heart to dedicate it to each other. Being stared at by Naruto like this, Yang Ming felt uncomfortable. All right, I'll reluctantly accept you as my little brother." Yang Ming waved his hand, with an impatient look on his face, as if he had accepted some rock. "The boss, can you tell me how I suddenly learned the clone technique?" Naruto looked at Yang Ming expectantly. Now that you've become your little brother, you can't help but tell me, right? Otherwise, if he went back now and asked Irika-sensei to take the graduation exam again, how could he explain that he suddenly learned the avatar technique? You really want to know? Boss, just tell me. Didn't you already eat your stomach? Eat your stomach? Naruto covered his stomach and didn't react for a while. Yang Ming knocked him on the head. Idiot, that's the bowl of beef ramen you ate. What? Naruto's eyes were so wide that he almost wrote "You're kidding me" on his face. Yang Ming gave him another chestnut on the head, not to mention, this kind of behavior of knocking the protagonist's head is really cool. So, Yang Ming said solemnly, the beef ramen in our restaurant is not as simple as you think. As we all know, the earliest planting area of wheat was the country of Sichuan, where the earliest wheat was cultivated in the world. The wheat of Konoha gradually expanded from the upper Nanga River near the End Valley to all parts of the country of fire, and was introduced into the country of wind and land. During the First Ninja World War, due to the war, the chaos of the people, they spread the wheat to the distant land of water and thunder. When emmer wheat cultivated somewhere in the country of grass was brought to the distribution area of rough goat grass, a natural hybrid was born, and the hybrid was naturally doubled to produce common wheat. The wheat selected in this shop is the most perfect generation of the first generation of natural hybridization. The wheat with more than 50% keratin content is called hard white wheat. Compared with red wheat, white wheat is yellow or milky white, with thin skin and endosperm. The higher the content, the higher the powder yield. This special wheat is specially used for supply, and it is the best wheat. Simply put, it's wheat exclusively for the daimyo of various countries and the shadow-level powerhouses of each village. After listening to Yang Ming's explanations, Naruto felt that he was not sure. Naruto only knew that he made the right bet. This Black Heart boss is really a hidden master. I can even get the wheat that was specially supplied to Hokage, as expected of my Naruto boss. However, here comes the problem. After talking for a long time, Naruto still doesn't understand why he suddenly learned the avatar technique. Seeing Naruto's confused look, Yang Ming asked, "Then do you know how chakra came from?" "I know this. Chakra is nothing new at ninja school. Is there something Naruto doesn't know?" Chakra is a kind of energy produced by the perfect fusion of the energy of various components controlled by the human body. It is the source of energy for performing ninjutsu, illusion, taijutsu, or making a string to bind opponents or cutting off substances that are also composed of chakra. And this energy composition is of two kinds. One is the body energy absorbed from the 130 trillion cells of the human body, cell by cell. The other is the spiritual energy that is exercised through a lot of cultivation and accumulated experience. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. Yang Ming nodded. Although there was another immortal technique, chakra, that he didn't mention, the ninja world generally followed this principle. So, the real answer lies in those slices of beef. Those pieces of beef are taken from low-level bovine psychic beasts, and they are also the most muscular thigh meat. After being processed by our unique secret recipe, they contain rich energy, which can increase the ninja's chakra volume. Damn it! At this moment, Naruto only felt that his three views on the world were refreshed today. As for that psychic beast, Naruto didn't know what it was, but as soon as he heard it, he knew that it must be a very good creature. But it was such a creature, it was reduced to the point of a meal on a plate, and it was eaten by him. For a time, Naruto's admiration for Yang Ming was like a surging river, which was endless. But only Yang Ming knew that the reason why Naruto was able to use the clone technique so quickly was not just that. The reason is that the nine-tailed chakra in Naruto's body is too large, and he is inflexible to use. And the chakra that he ate, turned into a low-level bovine psychic beast, became his personal possession, and it was naturally very convenient to use, so he successfully used the avatar technique. At this time, Yang Ming didn't know that he accidentally broke Mizuki's original plan, and a conspiracy specifically against him was being planned. Thanks to Liu Zhengchao for his 2 recommendation votes yesterday. CDDB voted 1 recommendation. There are 4 recommendation votes. Thank you for the 4 recommendation votes I have made today. Each of your recommended tickets is a human favor, and it is the driving force for the author to work hard. After sending Naruto away, Yang Ming started to clean up the shop and was about to close. At this time, the system dinged. Congratulations to the host, for completing the Flavel achievement. I haven't been a big brother for many years. I haven't been a big brother for many years. In the Naruto world, the host has become the big brother of an important role. At present, the number of younger brothers is 1, which can be upgraded. Achievement rewards: Basic Ninjutsu Substitute, Clone, and Transformation. System: You are so stingy, does your mother know? Seeing this achievement reward, Yang Ming couldn't help but said with vacant eyes. To tell the truth, Yang Ming really doesn't like this basic ninjutsu, and he can get it through training. No matter how bad it is, let's give us a flamboyant fireball technique. He has admired the Uchiha family's ninjutsu for a long time. Huodun ninjutsu is not only cool, but also powerful. Facing Yang Ming's contempt, the system seriously thought about it for 0.1 seconds. Then he said, "Sorry, the host can't get any ninjutsu from the outside world. I knew that you shouldn't put your hope on the system." Yang Ming took a deep breath and calmed down the heaving of his chest. As a member of the Transmigration Army, for his sake, not to mention that there is no one before, at least there is no one in the future. Then, Yang Ming expressed his grief and anger to eat, and made another beef ramen by himself, ready to eat. The first is to knead the dough. Yang Ming put an appropriate amount of flour in a basin, added salt to the flour and sifted it together. The sifted flour was piled up into a hill. Then put your hand in the center of the flour, and slowly pull the flour from the inside to the outside with your hands to form a groove with a thick edge and a thin middle. Next, Yang Ming added an egg and an appropriate amount of water into the groove, spread out the 5 fingers of his right hand, and pulled the flour on the inner edge of the groove toward the center of the water. Stir the dry flour pulled into the water with your hands and the water to form a snowflake-like grape-like dough. Next, it's time to test your patience. Yang Ming poured an appropriate amount of water on the remaining dry flour, and then repeated the previous steps to mix all the dry flour with the water in the small hole. Finally, the entire dough gradually forms a snowflake-like and grape-like dough. It wasn't over yet. Yang Ming kneaded the snowflake-shaped and grape-shaped dough together quickly with his hands. After a while, he kneaded it into a smooth dough. Yang Ming exhaled. To be honest, kneading noodles was really a chore for him. After finishing it, the whole body was sore in the waist and neck. After all, he is still too thin now, and kneading the dough requires a combination of strength and yin. When the two are combined, the perfect dough can be kneaded. At the moment, to be able to knead dough of this level, although it can only score 80 points, it is already considered very good. Next, Yang Ming took out a kitchen knife, divided the dough in 2, then took out a rolling pin and rolled the dough into a round cake one by one. This is another physical activity. The dough looks soft, but it is not easy to roll it into a round cake. With both hands on the rolling pin, you can feel the flexibility from the dough, which is constantly resisting Yang Ming's kneading. From time to time, Yang Ming frees up one hand, sprinkles an appropriate amount of dry flour on top of the dough, and rolls it on a rolling pin. With both hands, he holds the rolling pin that rolls the dough and pushes it forward, then pulls it back, continuing to move forward. Push. After repeating the action of pushing and pulling a few times, open the dough, sprinkle a little dry starch, roll it up, and repeat this action. In the end, the thickness of the dough was about the same as that of Chaos Skin. Yang Ming sprinkled a little starch and folded the dried dough like an origami fan. Next, Yang Ming cut the dough according to a certain proportion. Once the surface is done, the next step is much simpler. Yang Ming boiled the water and threw the prepared noodles in. After a while, he picked it up and put it into the cold water that had been prepared. When the cooked noodles meet cold water, they suddenly shrink. The noodles that have passed through the cold water in this way will undoubtedly make the noodles more refreshing and make the surface look extremely smooth. After a while, Yang Ming picked up the noodles and put them into the clear soup that had been prepared. This clear soup is not ordinary clear soup, but is made from beef bones. Since the beef bones of the low-level bovine psychic beasts unique to Naruto world are used, the clear soup made is very clear and does not contain any impurities. Next, Yang Ming placed the sliced beef on the surface one by one, and sprinkled some chopped green onion to garnish. Finally, a bowl of beef ramen was born. A bowl of steaming beef noodles was on the table, and Yang Ming was enveloped in the lingering heat. This hot air has an attractive fragrance, mixed with the fragrance of beef, chopped green onion, white noodles, and soup. In the Qing dynasty, a poet Zhang Shu once praised beef noodles. At sunrise, the mantra is recited, and at dusk, the white pagoda is empty. Burning incense and sighing, I only hope for beef noodles. It can be seen how long the history of beef ramen is, and its deliciousness has long been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. This is also Yang Ming's confidence in completing the task of the system. He didn't believe it anymore. With the beef ramen handed down from my origins in Greater China, I couldn't beat the Yul ramen at Yul restaurant opposite. As a carnivore, Yang Ming couldn't wait to pick up a piece of beef and quickly stuff it into his mouth. When the upper and lower teeth began to stir, a thick juice spurted out. The unique smoothness, tenderness, and toughness of beef were brought into full play, making Yang Ming feel that he was not eating a thin slice of beef, but chewing a piece of chewing gum. In particular, when chewing back and forth between the mouth and mouth, the thick juice contained in the beef spilled out at no cost, occupying the entire tongue, making Yang Ming's tongue numb and tingling, which was extremely refreshing. After eating beef, Yang Ming picked up a string of noodles. Between the finely crafted noodles, there are green onion grains mixed with each other, and a strong fragrance that cannot be concealed is even more tangy, making the mouth water cannot help flowing out. After taking a breath, Yang Ming opened his mouth wide and swallowed them immediately. Cool. At this moment, it was all Yang Ming's thoughts. As soon as the elastic noodles entered the tongue, they immediately bounced towards the teeth, as if they were not eating noodles, but a rubber, which looked extremely strong and smooth. Then, Yang Ming picked up the big bowl and gently took a sip of the clear soup. The clear soup is worthy of being made from the beef bones of low-level bovine psychic beasts. It can be said to be clear but not bland, fresh but not greasy. It enters the stomach through the throat, making the whole person feel warm and comfortable. Unfortunately, at this time, someone interrupted his continued enjoyment. A handful of kunao flew in from outside the store and stuck deep on the ground, with a note tied to it. A figure flew up from the door of the store as fast as lightning, leaving only kunao stuck on the ground and trembling. Snapped! Yang Ming slapped his chopsticks on the table with a blank expression, but he couldn't see his inner world from the surface. But what is certain is that interrupting a foodie to enjoy food is the worst thing in the world. For foodies, I don't care who you are, if I disturb my meal, even if the name of the country of fire comes, I will show you the same. Yang Ming stood up, pulled the kunao root from the ground, and took out the letter it had pierced through. He slowly opened the note, and saw 3 lines of small characters written on it. At 8 o'clock tonight, Konoha Forest, see you there. Yang Ming angrily crumpled the note into a ball. Who the gave me this shit? First of all, it can be ruled out that this is definitely not a prank. After all, the sharp kunao in Yang Ming's hands is telling its owner, at least it will be a genin. From the fact that even Yang Ming couldn't see the figure of the other party clearly, it was even more inferred that the other party was an experienced person. This can't help making Yang Ming suspicious. Could it be the Anbu of Konoha? This is not impossible. Because Yang Ming's parents were not from the land of fire, they immigrated to Konoha during the Third Ninja World War. Although Yang Ming's parents passed away long ago, in Yang Ming's eyes, they are just like normal civilians. But in the world, who can say for sure? Maybe Yang Ming's parents are spies in disguise from other ninja villages. However, this doesn't look like Enbu's style. Holding the note in his hand, Yang Ming frowned. Whether it's the dark part of Konoha, or the root tissue that specializes in shady things, they don't seem to be able to use this method. For these two extremely powerful organizations in Konoha, if they really found out that Yang Ming's parents were spies, they would have invited him to the Hokage building for tea and chat. Who would that be? As a struggling civilian at the bottom of Konoha, Yang Ming desperately searched for his memory, and did not remember that he had offended a ninja. After all, the villagers of Konoha and the group of ninjas live in completely different worlds. Just like Yang Ming's previous life, low-income people and high-income groups, even if they lived under the same blue sky, their lives were completely different. And many more. If you only count the ninjas he has seen, Yang Ming is not untouched. For example, Kazuko Izumo, who is always the gatekeeper of Konoha village. Speaking of these 10,000 years, I have to feel that the survival skills of these two goods have reached max. From Orochimaru's attack and Pain's attack on Konoha, these two things were alright every time. On the contrary, it was Uchiha Itachi, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru, who had been famous for a long time and died first. Of course, for the Orochimaru who has been resurrected many times, it can only be said that the author has an inexplicable love for him. Someone in the post bar teased Izumo and Zisha, "Uncle Yul is covering up, do you have a temper?" "Absolutely, no problem." Yang Ming shook his head. Izumo and Zisha can also be excluded. As for renting the current shop, Yang Ming went to the Hokage building to apply for relevant documents, and there were countless ninjas he saw. But without exception, it is impossible for him to offend them? Could it be that the Naruto World version requires a card? That's not right either. The income of ninjas is so high, how could he like this small shop like Yang Ming? Then, excluding so many people, only the Naruto and Mizuki I saw today are left. Naruto could be the first to rule it out. This guy just left, how could he do such a thing? So. Yang Ming's eyes suddenly sharpened. Shizuki. Recalling the previous meeting, Mizuki looked at Naruto kindly, and stood up to pay for Naruto. All of this made Yang Ming feel that something was wrong. What's wrong? Yes. In the ninja school, there is only one person who will not discriminate against Naruto because of his identity. But that person will definitely not be Mizuki. Because a teacher who can be such a good teacher to Naruto can only be Iruka-sensei. The corners of Yang Ming's mouth rose slightly, and he said softly, "I said why I felt something was wrong at the time, so that's what it is." However, due to the long time past, Yang Ming has forgotten a lot of the plots in the comics, so he doesn't know where he offended Shuimu. But it didn't matter. Looking at the chubby puppet in the shop, Yang Ming believed that no matter what the other party planned to do, his safety was at least guaranteed under the protection of a fat man equivalent to the midnight level. And on the other side, Naruto clutched his bulging belly and walked towards his apartment with a happy face. Naruto never imagined that there are ramen noodles that are better than Ichiro ramen in this world. Naruto originally thought that Uncle Yul's craftsmanship was the best in the world. But after eating beef ramen, Naruto discovered that he was wrong, and it was very wrong. Recalling the bowl of beef ramen, the elastic noodles seemed to be alive, jumping alive in the mouth, overflowing with a strong aroma. Just thinking about it made Naruto's saliva drool. And this, let alone those slices of beef full of magic. There is actually beef that can replenish chakra. It's been a long time since Yu can chew. As long as Naruto thought that he would take another exam tomorrow and show his successful avatar technique in front of all the examiners, Naruto wanted to laugh out loud at the stunned and puzzled faces of those examiners. Really, he has been suppressed for too long. Naruto has always longed for the recognition of the villagers to become a ninja that surpassed all Naruto. Although the reality hit him mercilessly again and again, the adults around him looked at him with disgust, and the little friends of the same age mocked him unabashedly. Even though he bears the name of the end of the Wanyan crane, Naruto still does not change his original intention, and uses hard work that others cannot understand to move towards the goal. Now, he is only one step away from becoming a real ninja. Look, I will definitely become the greatest Hokage ever. Naruto clenched his fist and raised it high, his eyes full of fighting spirit for the future. Haha, I laughed so hard, just because you want to be Hokage, should you say that you are ignorant or ignorant? A sour voice sounded from behind Naruto without warning. Who? Naruto turned around abruptly, saw the figure on the opposite side, his pupils narrowed into needles, and said in shock, Mizuki-sensei. I bother. Mizuki put his hands around his chest and looked at Naruto with disgust. Don't call me by my name so affectionately, nine-tailed boy. Thanks to Kinba for casting 3 recommendation votes. CDDB voted 1 recommendation. There are 4 recommendation votes. Each of your recommended tickets is a human favor, and it is the driving force for the author to work hard. I'm really sorry today, because I have a cold, so I delayed the update, and there is one more update in the evening. Konoha Village, 8 o'clock in the evening. Because the Nine Tails disrupted the village in the early years, and the Uchiha family was wiped out overnight, if there is no special need, the village will generally impose a curfew at night. Today is no exception. Early in the morning, the villagers returned home, and the entire Konoha village was deserted at once. Except for a team of ninjas patrolling at night, the entire village seemed to be swallowed up by darkness. Only the whistling of the cold wind was heard as they shuttled through the village. Yang Ming straightened the black robe, followed by the puppet who never left. At this time, one person and one servant had quietly left the village and came to the Konoha forest. Perhaps it is the unique environment of the country of fire, or it may be the masterpiece of the previous generation. The forest coverage rate is extremely high, and there are many century-old trees that are hard to see in other places. Yang Ming looked around, and as far as he could see, there were a few adults surrounded by thick trees. Looking for someone here is like looking for a needle in a haystack. However, Yang Ming was not anxious at all. Since the other party invited him to come over at this time, there would naturally be a way to find him. Sure enough, after a while, Yang Ming heard the sound of swaying branches and leaves not far away. Yang Ming looked in the direction the voice came from, and saw Mizuki holding Naruto in one hand while moving quickly between the trees. At this time, Naruto's condition was not very good. Naruto was tied into a big zongzi with only his head exposed. His face was even worse. He was beaten until his nose was blue and his face was swollen, and he could only squint at his eyes. However, what Yang Ming is more concerned about is that Naruto's mental state is extremely bad at the moment. As if he had lost his soul, Naruto was sluggish and let Mizuki carry it obediently. This is not like Naruto's style. If it is Naruto in normal state, even in such a bad situation, he will still use his mouth to escape, making the enemy extremely annoying. But now, is this still Naruto? However, Yang Ming's mood was quickly attracted by Shuimu, who came to him. Shuimu first glanced at the chubby puppet with trepidation, and then cautiously distanced himself from Yang Ming. Afterwards, the corners of his mouth curled up and he said, "Your Excellency really came." Yang Ming raised his brows and said coldly, "Tell me, what are you looking for from me?" Mizuki waved his hand and threw Naruto to the ground like garbage, with a flattering smile on his cold face. "If I'm not mistaken, Your Excellency should be the spy lurking in Konoha in Sandian village, right?" Yang Ming was stunned and moved his lips. He wanted to complain very much. "How come you have such a big brain? How can you tell that I am a ninja from Sandian village?" Shuimu thought he had seen through everything, smiled proudly, and said, "Don't worry, I'm not here to embarrass you, I just want to make a deal with you." Oh! Yang Ming resisted the spirit of complaining, so he pondered deeply, as if thinking about whether Shuimu's words were credible. However, at this time, the system jumped out. Congratulations to the host, triggering the hidden mission, Save Naruto. Mission description: at this moment, Naruto has suffered both physical and mental damage. As Naruto's eldest brother, it's time for you to come forward. Task reward: 1 copy of How to Make Ice Cream. Well, since this is the case, the conflict between Yang Ming and Shuimu cannot be reconciled. Who told you to die? But from Mizuki's point of view, he doesn't know. Mizuki thought he had hit Yang Ming's pain point and was proud of his plan. After all, you have mastered the identity of the other party's secret agent in Cheyenne Village, so why don't you just decide for yourself? So, Mizuki held back his joy and said, as far as I know, your country has the weakest Shao'erhi among the 9-tailed beasts, so it is at an absolute disadvantage among the 5 great kingdoms, and even has to be attached to Konoha. Mizuki's voice suddenly became agitated. Could it be that your country will be reconciled? Now, Konoha's 9-tailed Manzulai is here. As long as your country takes him away, the rise is just around the corner. Yang Ming squinted and looked at Shuimu, who looked like a salesman. He really wanted to complain very much. Things are not what you think, there is no Cheyenne Village does not rise, it has nothing to do with him, and there is nothing. He just wants to be a chef quietly and cook a few more dishes, yes. Facing Yang Ming's silence, Shuimu sighed in his heart. He really deserves to be a secret agent from the big village. He is calm enough in case of trouble. In Mizuki's heart, he was even more eager for his plan. So, he said hurriedly, so, my transaction is very simple. I will use the 9-tailed human pillar power in exchange for 1 of your country's rank ninjutsu, 3 a rank ninjutsu, and 10 rank ninjutsu. After speaking, Shuimu looked at Yang Ming with a flattering expression, like a dog begging for bones facing its owner. Yang Ming glanced at Shuimu coldly and suddenly realized in his heart. No wonder this 25th boy wanted to do such a betrayal of the village. It turned out that his plans were very big. Different from what most people know, in Konoha village, if you want to learn ninjutsu above B rank, you have to be above elite chunin. For example, those Alaval ninjutsu, especially those who have made great contributions to the village, are qualified to learn. As for S-rank ninjutsu, that's a ninjutsu that even shadow-level powerhouses despise. Every S-level ninjutsu is a village's heritage and accumulation. As for making a great contribution to the village, reading www.yuyuganshu.com that would require the ninja to work hard to complete the task. Otherwise, don't even think about it. Like the 12 Xiaoqiang in the original book, if they were not descendants of Konoha's tyrannical family, or they had worshipped a good master, would they be able to learn high-level ninjutsu casually? Take Izumo and Zisha, who guard the gate of Konoha, for example. How many years have they been in Chunin, and how many people know? So, under the splendid appearance of Konoha village, it is a solid class. Ordinary ninjas spend their entire lives, and they have been mixed up to the level of elite Chunin. This transaction proposed by Mizuki is evidence that the bottom ninjas are eager to counterattack. As long as you get these high-level ninjutsu, after a few years of mastering it, you can become a high-level Jainin. And once he becomes a Jainin, even if Konoha knows that Mizuki did it, he will decide for himself whether it is worth spending a lot of manpower to catch Mizuki. One of the most obvious examples is Zabuza, one of the 7 members of the Ninja Blade of Mist. This guy committed a heinous crime in the country of water, but he didn't do anything, and instead wandered freely in other countries. Although this is also partly due to the internal reasons of Wuyin village, it is more because, in the case where the shadow-level powerhouses in the major villages are not born, each village's Jainin is equivalent to a nuclear bomb, which is used to deter neighboring countries. In general, when the Shangnin of various countries is dispatched, it will lead to the nerves of various countries. So, if Mizuki really succeeds, maybe it's really a classic of grassroots ninja counterattacks. Thanks to KinBA for casting 3 recommendation votes. Steak Duck Down voted 1 recommendation. Each of your recommended tickets is a human favor, and it is the driving force for the author to work hard. Although Yang Ming is very sympathetic to Shuimu's experience. Also from the grassroots, Yang Ming felt the sorrow of the other party. No, in other words, this is the sorrow of the grassroots of the entire Naruto world. Without family inheritance and guidance from a good teacher, in this world of ninjas, they are destined to be eliminated. Even if it is a shadow-level powerhouse from the 5 major ninja villages, so what? In this world led by the Six Paths Immortal family, apart from their family members, aren't the rest of the people free to handle it? That's why I have to live better. Yang Ming shouted in his heart. With an omnipotent system, Yang Ming firmly believes that as long as he continuously completes the tasks assigned by the system, sooner or later, he will be able to reach the pinnacle of ninja with a body without any talent for chakra cultivation. Unfortunately, Shuimu has now become the target that Yang Ming must get rid of. Fat man, do it. Under Yang Ming's order, the chubby puppet suddenly attacked. Fatty approached Shuimu at a speed that was completely contrary to his body, like a runaway horse. Then, in the style of a puppet's always insidious sneak attack, Fatty suddenly opened his mouth and violently sprayed hundreds of poison cones. Quick! 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 The fat man's speed is too fast. In other words, Mizuki never thought about why the other party suddenly killed him. However, due to the vigilant nature of ninjas, the distance between Mizuki and Yang Ming at first gave him enough time to perform ninjutsu. Bang! The green poisonous cone shot towards Shuimu in a fan shape. As a result, as soon as it touched it, it was as if a balloon had been punctured, and a burst of green smoke appeared on the spot. A piece of wood replaced Shuimu and could withstand all attacks. Substitute. One of the 3 most basic ninja techniques. At the critical moment, Mizuki still seized the opportunity and used it dangerously with the slightest difference. Damn! Your Excellency, do you want to perish together? Mizuki appeared in a state of embarrassment on the branch of a big branch and roared angrily. When he thought about it, since Yang Ming was a secret agent lurking in Konoha in Cheyenne village, he would definitely not kill anyone. After all, he is still Konoha's ninja now. Moreover, this place is so close to the village, once the village reacts, there are various ways to arrive quickly. Mizuki couldn't understand, how could the other party do such a stupid thing? Crap! Since ancient times, villains have died talking a lot. Yang Ming believes that he is not a villain, but he has learned enough lessons from his predecessors. How can he talk nonsense in battle? With a thought, the fat man set off again. I have to say that the puppets provided by the system are really easy to use, and there is no need for Yang Ming to use chakra lines to control them. This also made it unnecessary for Yang Ming to follow the puppet all the time and be a fuel bottle. Poison cone hell extremely accurate 100 bursts. Fatty quickly approached Shuimu and revolved around him at a high speed. Then, the front of him suddenly split open, and countless poisonous needles sprayed out at no cost. This time, Fatty learned from the previous lesson and drowned Xiang Shuimu with the sea of poisonous needles that had increased in coverage. No matter how many avatars you used, you still had to kneel. The pitch-black swarms of poisonous needles were like locusts passing through the border. A large swarm of black swarms attacked and enveloped Shuimu in all directions, completely blocking any direction of his escape. This is a one-hit kill. However, Mizuki is worthy of being a battle-hardened chunin. Even in a desperate situation, he still did not give up his struggle. Mizuki gritted his teeth, and with the pain in his flesh, took out dozens of detonating charms from his bag. Looking at the detonating talisman in his hand, Shui Mu thought that it would be all used up later, and the hatred for Yang Ming in his heart was like a surging river, endless. These detonating charms are not cheap at all. He has worked so hard to do several level tasks to accumulate the net worth. He didn't expect it to be used up today. Today, it's really hard to steal chicken without losing rice. But in order to survive, now is not the time to be stingy. Shuimu's eyes flickered. He didn't throw the detonating talismans away, because this would only serve as a delay at best, and in the end he had to die. Since both sides are dead, it's better to fight. So, instead of focusing on one direction, Mizuki scatters the detonating talisman in his hand in the direction that Fatty first sprayed the poison needle. Dozens of detonating talismans flew towards the poison needle group, and they ignited without fire in midair. Then, the moment they came into contact with the poison needle group, they suddenly erupted. Boom! 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 In midair, fireworks erupted one after another, and the power of dozens of detonating talismans was indeed extraordinary. The roaring sound instantly resounded through the sky, and the rumbling white smoke spread into the sky, forming a thin cloud of smoke. Probably now, Konoha village has discovered the anomaly here. Looking at this scene, Yang Ming twitched the corner of his mouth. He knew that it was not appropriate to stay here for a long time. If he stayed any longer, he would be dragged to the Hokage building to drink tea. So, Yang Ming walked towards Naruto, ready to carry him to retreat. Guess what? Just on the way, a kunao silently shot over from the dark forest, aiming directly at Yang Ming. Whoosh! When he got close, Yang Ming heard a faint sound of breaking wind, his whole body trembled instantly, and a sense of crisis filled his body. Danger! Extremely dangerous! Too late to think, Yu reading www.yuuganshu.com. Yang Ming shouted to the system subconsciously, use the avatar technique. Bang! Kunao wiped it towards Yang Ming's neck with great precision, but there was no blood splash as expected, but instead a burst of smoke burst out, revealing a wallet. The speed between thoughts is so fast, Yang Ming doesn't need to spend time to seal. As soon as the system received Yang Ming's request, it immediately used his wallet to act as a stand-in, to take the fatal blow instead of him. It's so dangerous, I almost thought I was going to die. Yang Ming's chest heaved violently, and there was great terror between life and death. Yang Ming, who had never fought before, experienced the thrill of dancing on the tip of a knife. If it weren't for the system, if it were another ninja, there would be no time to seal the seal. Then, the current Yang Ming is just a corpse. When Yang Ming calmed down and turned his eyes to the direction where Kyuzi came from, he finally found the initiator. Mizuki. That's right, Mizuki, who should have died in the poison needle group. At this moment, Shuimu's condition is not good at all, his whole body is like a sieve, filled with poisonous needles everywhere, like a human-shaped hedgehog, which is truly ferocious and terrifying. Seeing the kunao that he shot out with his last breath, it came back without success. Mizuki's eyes suddenly dimmed, his feet softened, and his whole body slumped to the ground as if his spine had been pulled. But Yang Ming didn't let his guard down. The scene just now left him too deep an impression. Who knows, is Mizuki really losing his fighting power now? Thanks to Steak Duck Down for casting 2 recommendation votes, CDDB cast 1 recommendation vote. The author Junmu has thought that you will vote in the early morning, you should pay more attention to your body, don't stay up late. Konoha Forest. At this time, due to a war, green poisonous needles were scattered everywhere. Originally quiet forest. Now it is like an azure field, showing a hideous face. As Yang Ming's most loyal puppet, Fatty came to Yang Ming's side without a word, like a of the door, vowing to defend his master to the death. Under the protection of Fatty, Yang Ming felt relieved. In fact, he was frightened by Mizuki's sneak attack earlier. This is because Mizuki is the lowest level Chunin, and he doesn't have any powerful ninjutsu at hand. If Shui Mu knew some powerful ninjutsu such as fire escape, even the puppet next to Yang Ming would have to kneel. In order to cut grass and roots, Yang Ming cautiously came to Shui Mu. Why? At this time, Shui Mu had not yet completely died, and when he saw Yang Ming looking down at him, he said unwillingly. Yang Ming sighed. Sorry, I'm not a secret agent from Sandian village. To be honest, he had to feel sad for the other party's IQ. Could it be that if you see someone using a puppet, it must be a ninja from Sandian village? However, it seems that this world, apart from Yang Ming, is really like this. Shui Mu suddenly widened his pupils, his eyes were shocked, puzzled, and more importantly, relieved. Turns out, he guessed wrong. With chagrin, Mizuki swallowed his last breath and died completely. Before he died, he kept staring at the sky. On the way to pursue power, he lost to IQ, and he lost so wrongly. If there is an afterlife, I hope you will be a smart person. Seeing this, Yang Ming couldn't bear it, he squatted down and reached out to close Shui Mu's eyes. This can be regarded as respect from grassroots to grassroots. If it were another ninja, facing such an enemy, even if he had pity in his heart, he would be afraid of the ambush that the opponent might set before he died, and he would not care about the opponent. But after all, Yang Ming is not a ninja, but a chef. After cleaning up the affairs here, Yang Ming felt strange. System, Shuimu is dead, why hasn't the mission been completed yet? Host, please read the mission description carefully and then talk about it. The system replied solemnly and earnestly. Hidden mission, rescue Naruto. Quest description, at this moment, Naruto has suffered both physical and mental damage. As Naruto's eldest brother, it's time for you to stand up. The corners of Yang Ming's mouth twitched. Should he say that the system is worthy of being a system? This handwriting skill is really good. System, that is to say, killing Mizuki just saved Naruto's body, and I have to treat his mind. Congratulations to the host, your IQ is at least higher than that of Mizuki. The system replied solemnly and earnestly. Yang Ming was suddenly choked. System, if you have something to say, just say it, my IQ is on the passing line. As the host's system, this system has the responsibility and obligation to take care of the host's face. The system has always answered seriously and earnestly. Well, the world is huge, and the system is the largest. Yang Ming's small arm obviously couldn't handle the system's thigh. So, Yang Ming turned around and walked in front of Naruto in order to avoid blowing his lungs out. At this time, Naruto was in a very strange state. It was clear that the outside world was raging and Mizuki died because of it, so Naruto should be happy. But now, he lowered his head all by himself, and his whole body exuded a sullen low pressure. Naruto, raise your head. Looking at this little brother, Yang Ming didn't know why, he got angry and said sternly. Naruto raised his head as if reflexively, but saw that his eyes were confused, and he looked like he had been played badly. That appearance, that expression, was just like that of a young girl who was imprisoned and then being abused by a rude uncle. Those eyes, the same empty, the same dead silence, there is only a pool of stagnant water left, lifeless. Naruto looked at the eldest brother whom he just recognized today. For some reason, he felt an inexplicable intimacy in his heart, and he couldn't help but bring out the questions in his heart. Brother, do you think I shouldn't live in the world? Naruto, who told you that you shouldn't live in this world? A struggle flashed through Naruto's eyes. He didn't know whether he should tell the truth or not. But in the end, there may be a person to pour out, and Naruto finally said it. Teacher Mizuki told me that I am the nine-tailed demon fox. It was all because of me that I killed so many people. Even Irake-sensei's parents died because of me. That's why everyone hates me so much, targets me, and excludes me. Brother, you say, shouldn't I live in the world? As Naruto spoke, his emotions became more and more excited. He is not a fool. In the past, the strange eyes of the villagers and the exclusion of his peers made him feel that something was wrong. But at that time, Naruto only felt that as long as he became Hokage, he could gain the approval of the villagers. But now, Mizuki has exposed everything and put the truth in front of him. At this moment, the belief that had always supported Naruto suddenly collapsed. He didn't know whether the goal he had been working hard for had any value. Looking at Naruto like this, Yang Ming sighed in his heart. This reminded him of himself in his previous life, because he was a scumbag in the school. In order to attract the attention of the classmates he had admired for a long time, he was always grandstanding in the class. Unexpectedly, he was hated by his classmates, and Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com pushed him out together. At that time, I also felt lonely and lonely. Even the head teacher didn't even care because he was a scumbag. Just that level of cold violence made Yang Ming feel suffocated and hopeless, let alone Naruto. But before that, Naruto worked hard and concentrated for the illusory dream, but was a little less flexible, so it was difficult to get the approval of others. However, after going through these things, Naruto already knew the pain of the heart. So, Yang Ming stretched out his hand and pressed heavily on Naruto's blonde hair. A sunny smile appeared on his face. In an unprecedentedly gentle tone, Yang Ming said, "Even if this world abandons you, Naruto, don't forget, you still have my big brother." Big brother? Tears welled up in Naruto's eyes, blurring his vision. Yang Ming laughed and scolded, "Look at your ghostly appearance, why are you crying? You still want to be a Hokage like this? Quickly stand up for me and puff out your chest with a manly man." Yang Ming took a punch and smashed it lightly on Naruto's chest. "You remember it to me, now you are no longer the nine-tailed demon fox, but the Uzumaki Naruto of Konoha Hidden Village. Have you understood?" Naruto burst into tears. At this moment, he was full of haze in his heart. For the first time, a ray of sunlight shone into him, making him feel unprecedented warmth. Thanks to Kinba for casting 3 recommendation votes, the Ghost Bone Layman cast a recommendation vote. Thank you for your support. As a newcomer, Xiao Tian is able to persevere because he sees people voting every day. Thank you very much.